Hello and welcome to another episode of the Journeyman Music Show. Today we talk about how making music can change your life. And we're not just talking about changing your life 20 years from now. We're talking about if you were to start today, how making music could change your life in the upcoming year or just within a few months. So super interesting topic. I'm super excited to talk about it. As always, Chad is here with me.
Hello.
And we're not alone today.
Hello everyone, my name is TITCHY. I create content on YouTube, Twitch, and I make music on Spotify. All started with lo-fi music, slowly transitioning to more orchestral music and such like that. I'll pretty much make whatever I want, but that's basically what I do. That's basically what I do.
And you are prolific, sir. You have so many songs on Spotify, and you've not been doing it for that long. I mean, it took me however long, and I have one song uploaded, which, you know, I expect all of our viewers and listeners have consumed. You know, you haven't.
I know, cool. I have.
Yeah, hey, thank you. Appreciate that. But yeah, you have so much stuff up. So why don't you, if you could, just tell us a little bit about your music journey, right? How did you get started? Why did you get started? What's your deal now?
Oh, my music journey. Oh, where to begin? I guess from the beginning.
Good spot.
I mean,
good spot.
The whole thing was like back in like 2019. Like, I hated music. I like it. It's really like quite reverse, to be honest. Like, I hated music. Like, I despised it. So I never listened to it. And because I'm a weeb, I like watching anime. So I was bored one night and I found a show called K-On! About a bunch of school kids making a band. And immediately I was like, damn, I want to get a guitar. So I got a guitar. And then I was like, oh, I'm just going to play music on it. Sod it, from the show. That's the only reason I've got this guitar. Next thing you know, I'm buying FL Studio. I buy FL Studio and I slowly start, very chuggingly, start making lo-fi music, because in my mind, that's the easiest music to make. In my mind, anyway, you know. I was like, that's the easiest music. I'm just going to make some lo-fi, some chill stuff. Mm-hmm. And then it slowly kind of went round into more lo-fi. I think I released 3 albums of lo-fi, but it's not really lo-fi. It's just like sound.
Just chill beats.
Just chill beats with a Z. Yeah. That's it. And then like it was chugging along, you know, I'd make music every now and then. And then I found Porter Robinson's music, and then ever since then it's just barreled, and I've just made a ton of stuff. I made an orchestral album. I made like piano improv songs which weren't planned out, but I just recorded it and uploaded it because why not? Making different little sections of songs and some electronic songs as well this year, which are quite fun actually. I quite enjoy those ones, like Yabe, the Death to Kawaii, which was terrible but still there. And then my latest one, which is A Message to You. So it's all fun stuff like that. But yeah, that's the journey so far, I guess. Slow and steady.
It's incredible. I wouldn't say slow. Like, if 2 years ago you hated music and now you have at least 4 albums on Spotify plus a lot of singles, this is not what I would qualify to be slow.
It's not been slow. Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy how someone can go from bah humbug, I hate music, oh, music's terrible, turn that garbage off, to oh, I love music. Hell yeah.
Yeah, you have 2 real hot takes in there. One, that music is bad, that you just didn't like music. I've never talked to anybody who ever said that. And 2, I've also never talked to anybody who said they got into music because of anime.
Yeah, well, I think I know why I didn't like music. It's because my mom and dad have like a band as well. So obviously from when I was a kid, I've been forced to listen to them sing the same songs over and over. And then, so it rubbed me the wrong way, clearly, and I absolutely despised it. Until early 2020.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
There we go.
You always hate what your parents do, right? I mean, that makes sense.
That's it.
Universal law.
Yep.
It is the universal law of everything. If your parents do it, you have to hate it. You can't join in on that.
Yeah, exactly. But it was in the genes, you know? I mean,
it was in the genes.
Maybe that helps to explain the proficiency so quickly.
I think it is. I think it is that. I think it's like, obviously his love of music has came to me. I just had it suppressed because he was doing it.
Right. Yeah.
And the minute I tapped and unlocked the potential, I was like, this is the best thing on the planet. Best thing.
Yeah, I don't think I would ever actually claim that like musical gift is genetic or anything like that. Like, I think that's probably not the case. However, I mean, being raised in a house where there was constant music, where parents are singing, where parents are performing music, like that's gonna get ingrained somehow. So it's cool that you had that experience, and it's strange that it took you so long to find it, but it's awesome. I mean, it's clearly paying off now, you know?
That's it. Yeah. It's good fun to make it. Good fun to make it.
Cool. I would love discovering music now, like all over again. You know, from the beginning, that would be incredible. So you talked a little bit on how you got into music. What is music to you now? Like 2 years later, like how do you see music, and what is the place of music in your life?
Okay, so I mean, to be fair, before I can say before, before I got into it, I kind of just saw music as a distraction. That I was like, no one really needs this. This is kind of stupid. It just seems like something that people just used to get all, drugged up, and go raving and getting drunk and stuff. No one really needs it, and it just distracts them from things. But nowadays, I have quite the opposite opinion on music. It's kind of, it's absolutely everything. It's like a world that you can escape to. It writes a narrative and a story in its own right. Every song has a story. Every song has a meaning. And every song has that full production process behind it, where someone's had something that they absolutely love and they've just put it into notes. Because in reality now, to me, music isn't just, let me just put the thing in the MIDI. It really is just the most heartfelt thing that someone can make is a song that just reads and plays so well with itself. So music for me nowadays is just a way to kind of escape reality and go to these different worlds, as it were. Throughout my day, you could be in, the 1800s with like Chopin, and playing his Ballade number 1, in G minor. Next thing you know, you can be listening to Porter Robinson's like language and just be in a completely different world, as it were. And it's absolutely fascinating how it's like that, and how it can bring so much emotion out of somebody just from simply notes. But it can just cause so much emotion, and I absolutely love the power that music has and can have over someone. So that's music to me nowadays. quite the switch.
Yeah, for real. That's such a holistic view. Like that's really nice. It really does kind of embed itself in your life, And I think most people probably have some sense that like music is cool, music can make me feel good or feel bad, but if you really start to, enmesh yourself in it, it really can mean a lot to you, and it's awesome that you've been able to do that.
Absolutely, because especially back then when you hear people going, "Oh my God, that album, it changed my life. Justin Bieber, he changed my life." I'd look at it and be, Scrooge and be like, "Really, really, sure." And now I'm sitting here going, "Oh my God, that album changed my life. Oh my God," now I'm that guy.
Yeah.
I got it in the end.
That is so true. And I think we all value the power of music, even just as a listener. But how about specifically producing music? Like, how has making your own music changed your perception, or why do you make music? Like, we talked a lot about listening to different genres and how listening to different artists can generate some different emotions. But what's different when you're making your own music for you?
Well, making music is it's magical, because you're now the one, instead of listening to someone else's story and feelings, you're now able to release your own feelings and story into a song that you make. And it's such a magical process, the idea of slowly figuring it out, because it's kind of like when you look at that empty page, as it were, the empty door with nothing in it. You kind of sit there going, okay, there's music in this here, and you don't want to try and force it. You just want to slowly carve your way through it, as it were. And the song's in there, so you just got to search it out. But so when you look at that blank door page, as it were, that the music's in there. You're just trying to find it. You don't want to go in with a chisel and bash your way and just try and force something to come out, because it's not what you want to do. But you want to have lots of finesse and just put your emotion into it, and just find the music within the instruments and within your soul, as it were, and your emotions, and that way you'll make a great song. But of course, if you're hacking away at it, I've always found that it never comes out great. If I try and force myself to make something, it never comes out well, and it just causes frustration. So it's all about loads of finesse and patience and just using your emotions to find it. That's my view on that.
Yeah, makes perfect sense. Yeah. I find for me, it tends to be if it improves my communication. I think overall, really, just in my entire life. I think for a couple of reasons. One, it is such a good, it's an expressive way to really get your ideas out there, your emotions out there. And along those lines, it really forces you to be vulnerable. You know, like I never 100% knew what people were talking about when they said that, you know, when they were talking about being vulnerable and putting their music out there. And then I was terrified to put one song out there, you know, and I'm probably still a little terrified to put more songs out there. That's probably why I have like 6 unfinished songs sitting in my DAW right now, and I have put nothing up, you know. It's important to be able to be vulnerable like that, but man, putting a creative work out there, especially something that means something to you, that's difficult. And if you can figure out how to do that, it can help you communicate in all sorts of arenas.
I think this is especially true when you're singing. Like, at least for me, it's different if you have your own vocals and your own voice. That's so personal. Like, you know, MIDI instruments, anyone can come up with the same sound if you, like, you know, we use the same chord progression, it's going to sound similar. Your voice, the way you sing, the emotion you put in your vocals, that is so personal. And knowing that, like, potentially all your friends and family, your colleagues, everybody you know is going to hear that and discover like a whole new aspect of your personality or of yourself, like, that is kind of scary.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that is the biggest thing there is singing. If you can sing your song and take it out. Jeez, I mean, even I'm not there yet. It's true, because when you're putting in that much raw emotion, like, oh man, everyone's gonna know this now.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
You're being
Especially
modest.
if you're talking about autobiographical stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Like, yeah, there are songs that I have written, like lyrics that I've written, poems that I've written, that I'm like, I don't think I can ever put this on the internet until certain people are not gonna, until I know certain people aren't ever gonna listen to it. You know what I mean?
That's
like,
it.
I don't think I can do that.
That's it. Yeah. It's always one person, isn't it? You're sort of sitting there like, oh, I'm going to release my song, but oh no, he's going to hear it.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Oh, are they going to know this is them?
I'm only going to publish this in Australia, so that way I'm sure he never hears it.
Exactly.
I mean, though, to be fair, this is kind of my shield, like, for me, because, like, I mean, I don't know if anybody knows this, but I'm French, so just by producing content in English, I'm creating a barrier that, like, shields me from most of the people from my direct entourage, as you guys say, and it does help a little bit, to be honest. Even though I do share my music with my best friends and the people who are close to me. I do share it because for now it's instrumental and it's so much easier. But yeah, all the content where I show my name, I show my face and everything, it's much easier for me because it's a foreign language. So I know that 99% of the people who will be on the other end of this are not in my country. So it's pretty easier. It's much easier for me.
Interesting. Yeah, I'd never considered that. I'll have to learn French real quick.
Yeah.
So that I can be shielded and you can be out there.
Be right back.
Get on Wikipedia. There you go. Get onto Lingo. There you go.
Yeah.
This video is not sponsored, by the way.
Wait, no. Where's the merch, guys? This podcast is sponsored by. Show the merch.
Ourselves.
Show the merch.
Yeah, that's true. Yep.
There you
Look at
go.
this.
By
Look at this.
Wow.
JMS
Yep.
merch. Buy your
The
merch today.
Journeyman
Support the
Music
podcast.
Show.
Wow, such a beautiful. I'm feeling tired. Yeah.
Now that is a nice hoodie. Where can I buy one of them?
I don't know the website. Yeah, so speaking of being vulnerable, releasing your music, putting it all out there, Titchy, you've done the most vulnerable thing, right? Which is, you know, not like nude photos or anything, but the next most vulnerable thing maybe, which was you started releasing your music pretty much from day one, right? I
Yes.
mean, you have stuff from right when you started all the way up until now. You've been releasing the whole time. So it would be lovely if you could walk us through that. Like, why did you do that? What's wrong with you? What's your deal?
Yeah, absolutely. What's wrong with me? Yeah, I kind of made music and I was like, you know, I'm making all this stuff and I want to put it out there, even if it's just for me to listen to it myself, because, you know, I made it and I should be proud of it. So I always put it out because I thought, you know what, in the future, if by some, you know, lottery tickets won and somehow my music gets out there, I want people to go back and go, damn, his stuff was trash as well. And I hope that can, in some way, go to people that progress is there, and you know, there's not really a prodigy kind of way of being good at music. It just takes a lot of experience. But I kind of like sharing the journey with everyone who listens to my music. Like, people can go, "Wow, his latest song was really good. Oh, look, let's look at this song. Hold on, he made this." You know, it's that kind of thing. I like having sort of the narrative of progression during it, and I personally recommend that everyone does that, because it's just a great way to make like a little diary for yourself and track your progress. Like, you can release one album, then the next album, then the next album, and then go back, and instead of forgetting it, it's always there, and you can go, wow, that was my humble beginnings, as it were, and I can go back and listen to all my old stuff and go, wow, I did not know how to master, or wow, I was not good at mixing, or wow, I really didn't do much creative stuff back then, but now I can go, wow, and I've really improved on that. And that's like a really good, at least for me, it's like a really good self-motivator to know, hey, you're progressing and you're doing good and you're still doing exactly what you like to do. And that's yeah, that's why I like uploading absolutely everything that I do from day one.
This is what I've been struggling with the most. I've been making music for longer than 2 years, but I haven't released a lot of things. And that's mostly because I'm such a perfectionist that I would rather not release something than, you know, release something that I think could be improved. And the problem with that is that it can always be improved. And, you know, with experience, you know, just as a listener, you develop a certain ear and you develop certain standards. And if you apply the same standards to yourself that you apply to like professional artists, you're never going to start releasing your first songs. And if you don't release your first songs, you're not going to get to that level in the end. And it's kind of a vicious circle where you're more and more, you know, demanding with yourself. And like, honestly, it's after talking to you, I just thought, okay, I'm going to publish my first song on Spotify. Like, I have recorded a lot of stuff, but I've kept it for myself for a while. But I'm going to release it on Spotify. And it was super scary, like Chad said, completely relate with that. But once it was out, I was super happy and super proud. And like, let's be honest, I would not have kept editing or mixing that song. So as long as you're not working on a song anymore, just publish it. And that way you can always come back to it, listen to it. And like, maybe, who knows, like maybe you're going to do a remix 2 years from now, like, and just, you know, because you've improved so much, you like that song. It's still, you know, sometimes you're emotionally attached to a song and you say, well, I love that song. It's so personal. I want it to be perfect. Well, you can always come back to it later once you're better, but you're not going to get better unless you actually release a lot of songs. And yeah, I think it's a really, really good message to spread around.
That's it. I think a lot. I think something that does stop a lot of people from uploading their music is like with like drawing art. It's like everyone likes to upload whatever art they draw because they don't put it to a standard. But with like music, like everyone listens to the radio all day. Everyone listens to like professional artists, and straight away they think having their music on like Spotify or something like that is like such a big thing, and that you have to be a professional to have it on there, and that it should sound a certain way. But I think what should happen is that, just like with drawing art, everyone talks about having your own style. And I think that everyone with music also has their own sound, as it were, I think is what people say. Like, that you have your own sound, you have your own stuff, and people want to hear it. You know, people don't want to, you know, well, this is just my opinion, obviously, but like, you know, if someone says to me, oh, look at this EDM song, it's just like this one. Like, okay. But if someone goes, hey, look at this, they've just released it and it's different, I'll be like, hey, all right, I'll check that out. It's different. Heck yeah. So I think, you know, everyone's music's different, and you know, a bit like with popular artists as well. It's like if you hear a song, if you've got like Spotify radio on and it's just going through random songs, you might go out of nowhere, hold on, this feels like a this person's vibe, and then you check on your phone and suddenly it is a song that you never knew this artist made, but you recognize their their sound and like how they've made it. So everything's personal. So I just say release it into the wilds and see what happens. Because I think every like, even if you don't think a song is, because everyone makes songs and they make like a vault of songs, as it were. And I don't like the idea of having my songs that I've spent hours and hours and hours, days and days and days working on, just to sit on my computer in just this vault doing nothing. Because I feel like I think deadmau5 said the same thing, where he was like, he made Strobe, and I like, this is once again something that stuck with me. He made Strobe and it sat in his vault of songs, and he didn't like it, but then he thought, you know what, sod it, I'll put it on this album, and now it's one of his most popular songs. So a song you make could potentially, even if you don't like it that much, could be someone's favorite song, because everyone's got different tastes. So I'm always about just uploading it, no matter how good, no matter how bad. I always say just upload it. If you've finished doing it and you're not going to do any more work on it, I'll push it out into the wild.
Yeah, we all, I think everybody who makes music just about knows that point where you're like, this is as good as it's going to get, at least for now. You know what I mean?
There's always a point.
Yeah.
There's always
exactly,
a point.
exactly. So instead of being like, maybe in 6 months, because you're never going to in 6 months. You know what I mean? That's really valuable. And there's also, like you mentioned, this is a great point, that there's value in not having things completely polished. You know what I mean? In the 60s and 70s, if, some folksy somebody, James Taylor or somebody, had like gone to the studio and gotten full string quartets and orchestras and stuff on his music, it would not have felt the same. Even if that's what he wanted to do, that sort of polish would not have necessarily stood out for him. It wouldn't have served him, and it can be the same thing with us. Like, obviously you want to get better at mixing and mastering and make progress wherever you can, but there's definitely some value in just having some garbage that you put down that you didn't know what you were doing. You know what I mean?
That's absolutely it. I mean, like, it gets to the point where, like, obviously, there's people out there who spend hours, days creating like names, just simply names for their song, because like the name has to be perfect. I mean, I think one of my songs that one of my songs I released on like my first album was literally just called Tape Stop, like 5 seconds, and the whole reason because there was a stop in the middle of the song. It was to say, it's just literally all my songs have literally like the roll of the dice. So what name are you gonna have? You're done. Mm-hmm. Like A Tree, for example, was like an orchestral song I made, and it was just a tree.
Yeah.
A tree. Yeah. No meaning, just a tree.
Yep.
Stuff like that.
And if you're going to get to that like massive major label stage and stuff like that, you'll end up having to do some of this polishing and finishing type stuff. But you're also going to have whole teams of people helping you do that sort of thing. You know what I mean? And that's not what everybody wants to listen to. That's not what everybody wants to make. So like, just make your thing, put it out there, even if you're very scared to. And then, you have a good way to track your progress. You have a good way to listen to your sound, to develop your own sound. I think that's really good advice. And I want to echo what Paul said, which was that you, Sir TITCHY, are one of the major factors that made me put my first song out there too. Because I have written almost nothing and made almost nothing, but I was like, you know what? This is one of my first songs. TITCHY did it. I'm 100 years older than he is. I can do it too.
Just do it. Just release it. Just do it. Just do it. I'm gonna touch on a point because I have a hot take. On something you said.
Hate music.
That's it. I hate it. I made it for a year and now it's back. The hate is back. No, it was if you get a record label and suddenly you've got teams of people there to polish it. I have a bit of a hot take, and that's I don't really like massive producers for that reason.
Sure,
it's like someone I say it and it's always a super hot take, but like I like smaller producers because they've had to sit there and put all their they've had to put all the thought and like it's all their emotion, and you feel it. I feel like you can feel when a song's been made by an individual or a band compared to a singer who's had like an army of producers and writers behind them making it absolutely squeaky clean. And there's something about music where I don't like it being super squeaky clean or people singing in like a certain way to match the rest so that it's squeaky clean and polished. I don't personally. I like smaller artists for that reason, because I feel like music is about the individual, not the money and the market value. I don't know. That's my hot take. I wonder how many people will agree. I'm not even going to call out any artists or anything. Just, you know, like,
don't
everyone knows what I mean. Everyone knows what I mean.
I think you're definitely right. With some like modern pop music is becoming closer to a science than like an art.
That's it.
Like they're like engineering songs, like, okay, this kind of hi-hat, this kind of frequency works super well, this kind of chord progression is working super well, 90% of the hits of the last 6 months use that chord progression, I'm going to use that same thing. And you can like create, like it's like they create a vision of a product and they mold the artist into that vision, rather than starting with the artist and then like making the music like come out of the artist. And that's a whole other topic that I want to dedicate an episode to, because I think we all have super strong experience, like feelings about this. Starting to think like you would be a good guest for that, because you seem to have strong and hot takes. Maybe
I
we
have very hot takes.
Yeah. But
yeah. No, I think a lot of people agree with you, and I also think that's probably been an issue for pop music since pop music became a thing. You know, there's always been like standards that if you want to be on the radio, you will, hold to these standards.
You have to bow down.
And that's fine. I think, I think there's a place for that. There's a place for the smooth edges, and there's a place for the rough edges. You know.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying that one is better than the other, even though I do believe it. But like, there's, everybody like something different, and like I'm not saying like pop music should not exist. It definitely has a place, and I mean, I feel like we're talking about music like an art form, and we're talking about like actively listening to music, but like pop music has also a different like purpose in like everybody's lives, and it's not something that you consume in the same way. So it's not always comparable, even though it is music, but it's not the same thing.
Yeah.
Right. So you're a solo artist, obviously, right? Outside of the pop game. And being a solo artist means that there are pros and there are cons to it, and it can take a lot of time, it can take a lot of effort, but then you also have a product that you're really proud of, that you know you did by yourself. But I'm wondering, what sorts of life changes have you seen, right? Because like I said, you dedicate time, you dedicate effort, you have a product. So, I mean, have you felt any differences? Have you seen differences in the way you present yourself, in your schedule, in anything like that? How has it impacted your life?
Well, I'd say probably the main thing is just having, the joy, as it were. The joy. You see everyday items and you'll just make a beat now because you like doing it. So, and then suddenly you've got an idea and you're like, oh snap, I got an idea now, and like you can find the music in absolutely everything around you. I think it's just the idea of like, now when you hear music and stuff like that, that's everywhere around us. You walk down the street and usually there's someone performing, and you can suddenly see deeper into the music and you have a better understanding of what it is. It's not just noise anymore. It's not just like white noise. It's now like a thing, a story, and you're a lot more engaged into it. I think that answers your question. I think.
Yeah. Yeah, and I completely agree. Since I started trying to make music, it's a very different experience listening to music, and I think it's a more enjoyable one. It's more analytical, but also, I think better. It helps. I still have that emotional connection when I hear a song. I'm like, oh, that one really, that hit me right there, But also now I can start to think about what it is that has made me feel that way, how I might be able to replicate it, how that was able to be achieved, And I think that makes it not only still emotionally connective, but also something that's fun to think about.
Yeah, that's absolutely it. It's so beautiful that something can make you just feel that way, like make you cry, make you excited, make you happy, make you angry, make you energetic. It's just absolutely beautiful having that kind of appreciation for something like that.
And then the idea of being able to produce that in other people is just amazing. It's intoxicating.
The greatest feeling. I had because obviously the Spotify Wrap came up, and I had a couple people in my personal Discord come up and go, oh, dude, I absolutely love this song. And they showed me the screenshots of them, yeah, how many times they listened to it and stuff like that. And it just made me so happy to know I'd made something that has just got someone so excited about something that what I've made. And it's just so inspiring. And that's just because I've just thrown it out there, you know. Mm-hmm. It's just such a magical feeling to know that your music is going to cause some sort of emotion in someone. Just so exciting to think about.
Yeah, producing music is such a social activity. Like, I think that aspect is completely overlooked. Like you mentioned being inspired by objects of your daily life and random stuff that you walk by. I totally agree, but you can also be super inspired by people, and like writing a song for a friend, for someone special, like that's also another amazing experience that is completely new and that becomes available once you start, to be able to produce your own music. And I think that's a pretty good gift to give to someone else. Like making a piece of music, a song for another person, is such a cool thing to do. And I think it just makes you happy, makes the other person happy, and it's something that you can do before. So that's also another bonus. And yeah, I mean, I agree with everything you said, but like I also wanted to add something because when I didn't start as a solo producer, like I started, playing in a band, and even though I was not writing the songs, I started just writing some bass lines here and there, some melodies, making some suggestions, and it was a minor contribution, but for me it was a completely different experience than the one you just described, because it was a band experience, so it was a group experience, and it was a really, really social experience, like bonding with other people, creating something. I had a lot more like gigging than recording. We didn't record a lot of stuff. Unfortunately, now it's a big regret, but we did perform perform in front of our friends. So yet again, another social aspect. So there's not one single way to start making music. So whether you're playing in a band, playing alone in your basement, whether you're just playing live or recording, producing, all of these new activities can have so many impacts on your life, and they can lead to the other ones just to complement each other. And it's just something awesome to build on. And what I love about getting into music is that you're learning a new language that gives you access to a whole lot more people. And when you meet someone, you're going out, you meet a friend of a friend, or you're at a party or anything, you meet someone who makes music, and you instantly feel connected to that stranger. And yeah, I don't know, it starts the conversation, and like you make so many friends just by being around music. And I think we're a good example also of how like music can, bond people together.
Just a single YouTuber out there doing a monthly class, and now look at us.
Yeah.
That's right. Yep. A YouTuber, a guy in a band, and just a man in a basement.
That now has an amazing studio.
Hey, we're getting there. Yep.
And a cool t-shirt.
Very
Best
true.
t-shirt I've ever seen.
I think so, yeah. And it is genuinely very comfortable and affordable.
Is it 100% cotton though?
I don't know. Yeah, something. That's nice.
I definitely do envy like rock bands and stuff, but for the reason what you said, it's like a massive music family in a way. You're all making music together, and it's all super awesome. I'd imagine to perform on stage together about this thing that you've all created as a group. I definitely envy rock bands in that way, 100%. Mm-hmm. Personally.
Yeah. Yeah, when I was younger, I used to do a lot of choir singing, and it was a similar experience. It's not so like high energy and stuff like that, but there is a feeling when a bunch of voices just like hit that harmony just right, and it for me, I mean, it gave me chills when we would get that. It wasn't very often. I wasn't in very good choirs, but it would happen every now and again, and I really do miss that. Like making music with other people is awesome. And if you get the chance to do that, that's great. But also, yeah, making music for other people and talking to other people about making music can also really give that connection. And so speaking of connecting with other people and the way that music helps you to do that, I know that privately the three of us have talked about mental health and that relationship with music. So I wonder if there's anything you could tell us about that, Titchy. I can talk a little bit about mine. Paul, you can probably talk a little bit about yours. But yeah, if you want to say if it's had any impact on your mental health, if you think you're in a better place because of it or anything like that, if you've noticed the difference.
I would say 100%. 100%. Like there's not like, I think if I didn't find music and its joys and the artists I love now, I'd still probably be in the same place I was, because I started making it when I was in just such a low place, you know. Just it wasn't all right at all, at all. Obviously, finding things that inspired me was very difficult. So making music last year was very slow and sluggish. But it would give me a brief few moments of escape, because I used to, obviously before music, I used to kind of watch anime for that same reason of like just escaping for a bit and just getting out of the horrible world that I had. I don't like saying it, but I did, you know, I was pretty deep in a depression, very much so. It did get to the extremes, but luckily with music it kind of kept me kicking the can down the road a little bit longer, tiny bit longer, as hard as it was at the time. And nowadays I'm glad I didn't do anything stupid as close as that was, because it all kind of changed earlier this year. I felt that kind of reversal because of someone's music. I might as well mention it. It was Paul Robinson, and he released this Nurture album. And he basically, you know, just like going on to the power of music, he basically said everything that I needed to hear in a sense. Because a lot of musicians, I find, when it comes to this kind of stuff, they just sing about it and they mope about it, and that doesn't help. But with Paul Robinson and his Nurture album, he was more singing about how he was fighting it and how he was fighting through that. And, you know, going to and from work, singing that every day, it kind of, those sort of positive affirmations, in a way, slowly throughout the year have reversed it. And I feel so much better nowadays, but I dread to think what would happen if I didn't find music and that love for it. I think it's definitely changed my life, and definitely a bit cheesy, but I'd say it definitely saved my life for sure, because I don't know what would have happened if I didn't, but I'm forever grateful for, you know, that K-On! Show and for Paul Robinson's album, because, you know, that's what it just means so much to me. Like, you know, people ask, like, what do you talk about it all the time? And I'm just like, you know, I think everyone has that kind of album, and it's just like, you'll never understand how much it means to me. so it's definitely something that I absolutely love, and I'll never stop being grateful for it.
Yeah, that's a really pointed take, and such a good example. You know, I mean, you can't get a better example than that, right? And I think that's the sort of thing that isn't necessarily specific to music. I think for a lot of people, music is what gets us there. You know, I've had my own struggles and stuff like that. But any kind of expression, consuming somebody else's expression or producing your own, you know, both of those things can be so valuable. Finding something that you're inspired by, something that you're looking forward to, sometimes can make, you know, literally the biggest difference, you know?
Yeah. It was that album that was the massive light bulb and the realization of just how powerful music can be. It was just extreme, and I'll never forget just how amazing music is because of that.
Yeah, definitely. Like my favorite band of all time is and always will be Radiohead, and that is a statement in itself. Most people, when I tell them about Radiohead, either they just know Creep, and then it's fine, or they say, "Oh, I don't listen to them; they just make me depressed." And they had such a big influence in my life, and I agree. When you find the right artist at the right time and the right songs at the right time, some songs just resonate with you. You just understand that the artist is just exactly in the same situation as you, or feeling the same thing as you, and you just feel it and you know it, even though like maybe the lyrics don't match, even though maybe he's not explicitly saying the same thing. You can feel, okay, that dude gets it. And I'm not alone, and someone else felt it, and that's awesome. And I remember, like, sometimes it's from the lyrics, sometimes it's from the atmosphere, the mood, the instruments, the melodies. I remember, like, one of the lines that struck me the most was in the song True Love Waits. It's not super famous. It just got released in 2016, but it was an old song from, like, maybe 15 years before that, where he says, Tom York says, "I'm not living, I'm just killing time." And that specific line, like, for me, when I heard that song for the first time, I was in a pretty bad spot, and I was in a bad space, and I thought, okay, this is exactly like how I would describe what I was feeling, but I did not know how to put the words on it. And like, hopefully, if someday I could like make one song that could have any kind of impact on anyone, like, that would be amazing. Mm-hmm. And this is like one of the reasons to make music for me. Like, this is why I want to make music.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you guys talked about your influential albums. I guess I'll talk about mine. Yeah, so the person that resonated with me the most, it was when I was like college age, which I think is not uncommon for people, was Bright Eyes, who also Connor Oberst is his name, and Bright Eyes is like one of the projects that he's involved in, I guess. It's not a band, it's still just him, but all of his music was devastatingly depressed. Like, you could tell that he was a guy who was just barely hanging on, you know, like right on the edge. And that was my kind of depression. Like, that I could feel that, you know what I mean? And so, you know, I think for a lot of people, it's probably over the top. It's like, it's, you know, pretty emo stuff. But man, it was so great to hear somebody who was just feeling it, man, just devastated. And it helped me to realize that, one, oh, other people in the world do feel like that. And two, oh, this is important because not everyone in the world feels like that, right? So simultaneously, I discovered essentially that I was having the same hard time that some other people were having, but also that the ways I was feeling were weird and shouldn't necessarily be the ways I was feeling, you know? So I've had a very, very long mental health journey, but that helped to kind of kick it off, right? And I still have always identified with sad music. I really like sad music. It's generally my favorite type of music. But to be able to listen to sad music now and be like, oh, that's not necessarily how I have to feel all the time. Like, this is important and poignant because I feel it sometimes, not because I feel it at every moment, you know? And I think that was really helpful for me.
Yeah. Sad music can make you happy, and I think this is something that takes a while to understand. It's kind of counterintuitive, but like, when I listen to when I'm in the mood for sad songs, it actually just makes me super happy to listen to them.
Right. So we're talking about listening to emotional music, making emotional music, stuff like that. So I'm wondering what the process is. I know it's a little bit different for everybody. But do you find it's easier if you start with a mood and try and produce from there? Do you start with the production and then find, oh, this is the mood, let me tap into these emotions for it? You know, how does that generally work for you?
For me, it's always just been get into the door and mess about, see what happens. You know, maybe go online and search up, you know, something on like sample folk, you know, something like that, just to kind of get me a vibe straight away type thing, or figure out a chord progression and stuff like that. And then whatever that turns into, I'll just slowly just build on that. I've never really started a song going, this is the exact thing that I want right here. You know, this is what I want. I want it to sound like this. I want it to do that. It's always just been, I'm going to go in, I'm just going to start and see where it leads me. And if it turns into something, it turns into something. And if it turns into like a chord progression that's saved and put into the depths of the hard drive, then so be it, you know. That's usually my process.
Nice.
I think there was one song actually where I did try and go in, and once again, this is what I said earlier, where you go in almost with like a chisel and you try and chisel the song out that you want, and it never works. In my Zeris album, there's a song there called "The Market," and I was really inspired by this song by Evan Call for Violet Evergarden called "Back in Business," and it's like this really like victorious like song, and it's amazing. And I was like, I want exactly that for this song, and I got so frustrated doing that, and it didn't actually, the song, it was once again like when you decide to finish a song. So I decided, I went, you know what, I'm done here. I can't work on this. It's too frustrating, but I'll put it on there anyway. Next thing I know, everyone's going, once the album's released, everyone's going, dude, The Market is a bop. That's the best one on the album. I'm like, I'm crying out loud.
That's great. So maybe you need to change your process, you know,
Well,
start going
that's
with
it.
that chisel.
That's why I've always gone in and just gone, you know what? I'm going to throw whatever I want, and whatever comes out, comes out.
Yeah.
So I don't try and force it. That's for sure. That's for sure.
That's actually a really cool aspect to releasing music, getting feedback from the people you know. Like, I don't know if you had any feedback, by the way, Chad, like about your song that you just released. But for me, I remember like when I started sharing with my friends, they were like, "Did you make that? Like, how do you even? What?"
I'm glad that was your response.
And then that was awesome. Like, honestly, that was a super cool exchange, because then you realize, yeah, I've come a long way. Like a couple of years ago, I didn't know like how to start making music, how to produce music, and now like I could just slip my songs in a playlist and nobody would notice. And that's a sneaky thing to do, but maybe sometimes you can get someone saying like, "Oh, that's a cool song. Who is it?" And then, you know, they Shazam it, and then it's your name, and you're like, "Wait, what? What happened?" Or they say, "What is this garbage song? Please just move on to the next song," because they don't know it's yours, so they can be rude. Double-edged sword.
Well, so you're just sitting there in your car, and they're going, "This is a bop. Who made it?" And you're just sitting there like, "Oh, I don't know. Who made it, baby?"
You would have sunglasses sitting right there. That's a streamer move right there.
I would, but I'm in the basement, so let's be honest.
Yeah, sure.
See, I think it's important with feedback, because my feedback was quite different. Because I started sharing. I love sharing things I make. So I made that song and I put it in my Discord, and I said, "Hey, check out this song." And immediately it was just, "It's so repetitive. Wow, those chords aren't in. That's not in key. That's not that great, dude. You need to really improve on that." And I was like, "Sod it. No, it's my song, my choice."
Yeah.
In fact, a great example of like a song that I made and went, "This is my song," was Journey. It was actually the first song I released on Spotify, and the trumpet is not in key. But there's someone out there who went, "This is my favorite song," and I'm like,
Yeah.
heck yeah. Maybe out of key, but heck yeah. So it's just important, you know, you're getting feedback, in my view, you know, take it, but don't make it everything, you know, just take it at face value.
Yeah.
Don't be like, "That's it. I can't make music. That's it. It's official. They all think it sucks. That's it. That's the end of my music career. I love it, but that's it." Be like, "Okay, all right, I'll take that on board, but I'm still going to make it mine." You know, that's it for me.
Yeah. Knowing how to incorporate feedback, I feel like, is so difficult, especially for someone just starting out. You know, I'm still largely in that phase. And I have a couple of people who I know are very into music. They make music. They, you know, are really knowledgeable about it. But we have very different tastes, you know? So when I share something, especially something that's in progress with them, and they're like, I don't know. Like, it's really hard for me to know, is that because they know better than I do, or is that because they like different things from what I like, you know? And I wish I had some answers on like how to figure out where that line is, but I really don't know. Actually, eventually what I had to start doing was just when I first started, I was like, oh man, I'm so proud. I made a full song. Like I'm really doing a whole thing here, share it with everybody. And then I got some really, really mixed stuff that people were coming back with. And it was confusing and it was disheartening. And so I decided, you know what, while I'm working on stuff, I'm just not going to share it with that many people. You know, I'll share it with the people I trust, the people I want to hear from. And that's it, you know, and like, that's been helpful for me.
I think unfinished songs are better shared with musicians. Like if you're not a producer yourself, it's really hard to like project a song. Like, I mean, to visualize how a song is going to sound like when it's finished and polished and mixed and with more instruments and more layers. Of course, it's going to be repetitive. Like if the only thing you put down is the drums, it's going to sound super repetitive, but that's not a flaw. It's just not finished yet. And yeah, but what about your finished song? Like, did you get any feedback from people around you? Like, did you actually communicate about it to your friends, your family?
Yeah, so I sent it out to anybody who I thought would be interested. And a lot of what I got was people saying, oh yeah, that's cool. I like it, you know? And that was pretty much it. And I was very fortunate to get like pretty much universally positive responses from people, you know? And that was great. But I also know that most of those people are never going to go back and listen to it again, which is fine because it's not their type of music. It's not what they like to listen to or anything like that. And it's really hard to get feedback that's going to help me improve, you know? So I think something that I've found is important in my very short time making music is that I don't necessarily need to wait for that feedback. I don't need to get that feedback, and I shouldn't expect to get that feedback from anybody who's not actively working to try and help me with it, you know? I mean, before I started making music, if somebody played me a song, I'd be like, not really my genre, you know? Or like, oh, that's really cool. I'm going to listen to that again. And that's it. I mean, what else do you say? Like, what else do you know to say for most people, you know? So that's why it's so valuable having people like you guys, people like my brother who make music, some other people in my life, who know what they're talking about, know what the process is like, and can say, oh, hey, why don't you mix this down? Why don't you change this up at this minute? You know what I mean? So it's been great. I would always love to have more feedback, but, you know, it's hard to come by, and I think that's okay.
Absolutely. I also do think every now and then, when you do share it, you have to remember that a lot of people will probably lean more to the I didn't like it rather than the I loved it, because obviously you've made something in there like,
yeah,
God damn it, made something. Yeah, you made music, damn it. So it's like they might be thinking in their head, damn, this is a bop, but they might come out and go, nah, bro, trash.
Yeah. Well, and just like how many people listen to lo-fi chill beats? You know what I mean? Like it's, you know, if you go on YouTube, it seems like everybody in the world, but it's not actually everybody in the world. You know what I mean? So,
I mean, I couldn't name any lo-fi producers. To be honest, I couldn't name any of them. It's just I'll go on YouTube and go lo-fi girl, whatever on, you know.
Yeah. So if you're going to make a song like that and you're going to share it with 100 people, 95 of those people have probably never listened to a lo-fi song before and don't care about it, you know?
Yeah.
Which is totally fine, but you have to have reasonable expectations for what you're going to get back from those people, you know? And I'm finding exactly the same thing. Like I've been making mostly slow, sad, digital, folksy type music. And like, who listens to that? You know what I mean? Like really nobody that I know. So that's why, I just have to share it with the people who I really value their feedback just musically, and they can help me out.
It takes a lot of time to find the right person that would like that song. Like it's really hard. It's so hard to just, you know, put a label on music. Like just categorizing a song is super hard already. So imagining the reactions and the responses of all the people, you know, like that in itself is super hard. So it always takes a little bit of time to find your niche. But yeah, if you keep producing music in the same vibe, if you find your sound and, you know, some people start being attracted to your sound, then this is when like things get interesting.
Yeah, so speaking of writing music, I think we didn't really get to you, Paul. So what is your song making process like? I imagine it was probably different with a band, right? Because somebody comes in with like a cool guitar riff and you're like, okay, let's make a song based around that. But now when you're doing it yourself, are you like chord progression first, then let's see what emotion that evokes? Or are you like, all right, I'm going to go in and I'm going to make something happy, you know? How do you feel about it?
I don't have a process. That's the
Okay.
Way.
That's the thing. I'm still like this. This is kind of what I was starting to say when we talked to Rahul. We were talking about workflow. I'm still refining my work. I'm not even refining. I'm defining my workflow. For now, the most effective thing for me is to start with a chord progression and a sound, like both of these. I like to start with a chord progression because I'm not a classically trained musician who has like 15 years of music theory. So I like to simplify the work of the music theory by just laying down like the chord progression that is going to be the roots, like the core of the song. That way I know exactly what kind of notes I want to play on what part of the songs, and maybe like at the end I just take out the chord progression completely, but at least I know this is an A for 4 bars, then it's a B for 2 bars, and then it's a G whatever for 2 bars, and that helps me because I'm trying to work around my weaknesses or the things that I have not spent a lot of time on, and you kind of have to do that if you want to get results fast. And like you said, some songs the trumpet might be out of key. Who cares? Some people will like it. Some people will think it's original or bold or accidental, which is more likely. But yeah, I usually start with the chord progression, but I do have a specific mood in mind, because when you have a chord progression plus a sound, it puts you in a specific mood. And once you have the chord progression, the sound, and the mood, you basically have everything, and like the rest of the song kind of writes itself. And then for me, the difficulty is to find different chord progressions that articulate well and make come up with a structure that is interesting overall. But like once you have that one chord progression, I think, arranging, adding other instruments, adding layers, that's not the most difficult part to me. That actually is like the most fun part for me, and it's probably what comes the most naturally. But yeah, I think that's my process right now.
The no process is the best process.
Okay, so we have covered a lot of topics. This one was a lot more free form than some of our other shows, and hopefully whoever's listening or watching, hopefully you enjoyed that. But now that we're kind of wrapping up, I think it would be a good chance for TITCHY. So a lot of what we're trying to aim for is people who are just starting out making music. So you're the pro, you're the guy, you've done a lot of it. Throw us down some sweet, sweet tips for people who are just starting out.
Right. My biggest tip, I know it's super cliche, but it's literally, if you're thinking about getting into music, just do it. Just straight up, just do it. I definitely know the frustration is there, because I know a lot of people will relate to sitting in the door and going, what do I do now? How do I start? And to start, just start. It's just start by doing there's a lot to learn and there's time to learn it all. So just plonk some stuff down in the MIDI, have fun with it, and then if you go, oh, actually, I want to know more about chords, then have a learn about chords and then play around with different chords. If you want to learn to make melodies after that, then have a look at melodies. But I promise you, the moment you sit in that door long enough and suddenly you've got your first part of a song down, that you go, oh snap, it is the best feeling. I'm sure Chad and both agree with that. It's just the best feeling ever. So just start and don't be afraid to share it. Just share it and then just upload it, and you'll keep progress of it. Don't let it just sit and collect dust. Put it out there. Put it out there in some way, shape or form. Put it out there. Those are my tips. So just start and put it out there. Those are my 2 tips.
Great. Thanks, man. That's very valuable advice.
Yeah, this is amazing advice. I think this is exactly why we're doing the podcast overall. It's just to try to help as many people as possible just get started, get inspired, produce their own music, and put it out there. So I think this is an amazing way to conclude that episode. Thank you so much, TITCHY. I had a lot of fun talking about that. It was great to discover all those stories about you. I didn't know all of them, so that was thank you
well,
for
thanks
sharing.
for having me on. So
Yeah, I had a great time. And yeah, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening, and see you in the next episode.
Bye.
like, comment, and subscribe, of course.
Oh, jeez. Bye,
fam.
everyone.